Hi, I'm Cyril Lance from Moog Music, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Sub Phatty here.
So, Cyril, kind of from an engineering standpoint, I kind of get the impression behind the scenes there's a lot of stuff that we don't know about that goes into these synths. They're not just a sort of distilled version of what you've already done before. You're kind of developing things for every new machine that comes out. And I suppose I'm interested kind of behind the scenes, what are you most proud of? What internally, in terms of engineering, that's in the Sub Phatty, are you most pleased with, should I say?
Good question. I think with the Sub Phatty, we tried to re-envision the instrument as kind of twofold. One is to take advantage and really kind of further develop kind of how you design a modern analog synthesizer, using kind of modern technology, but also really making sure that it retains the fundamental voices that are from Bob, kind of passed down through the Voyager, down through the Little Phatty and the Slim Phatty, into the Sub Phatty. So the Sub Phatty circuit is very, very different from both those instruments, but there are some primary elements that are kind of fundamental that kind of tie them all together.
How does it differ, in terms of what's in the Little Phatty, for example? Are the oscillators the same?
Yeah, the oscillators are much different from the Little Phatty or the Voyager, and one of the motivations for that was we really wanted to develop oscillators that were much more frequency stable with temperature, and also the tuning accuracy on these is really spectacular. The tracking is really spectacular. So you could, I should have set that demo up beforehand. You could really, from the very highest to lowest, if your oscillators are in tune, they will be impeccably in tune across the whole range. The other neat thing that that enables you to do, if you have that precise control, is you could have your beat frequency of the two oscillators be consistent across the whole frequency range, which is a much different than you were able to do on some of the older oscillator designs. So the inspiration behind redesigning the oscillators was kind of on many levels, but allows us to do a lot of things and that we couldn't do. We have very tight control over the frequency. And also the ability to just turn it on and it be in tune within 30 seconds to a minute is also a really great advantage.
There's not an associated warm-up time with this.
No, not like the older oscillator designs.
And in terms of the filter, is that the same? I mean, obviously, maybe talk a bit about the sort of what kind of led you to the decisions and choices you made with the drive and the sort of the gain structure.
The filter topology is the same at the kind of highest level. It's still a 4-pole classic Bob Moog ladder filter. It is a slightly different design on a technical level, which I don't really need to get into. But the reason for changing the design was we wanted to have the synth be able to capture the classic creamy, Moog ladder filter sounds, but also kind of extend the vocabulary a little bit. And there's a couple ways that we did that. Is that one of the classic things to do with the Moog ladder filter is to overdrive it. So on the input, on the mixer level, you have the ability to control how much you're driving the filter, which is typically on all our synths. But on the input pre-filter, the mixer level actually really allows you to be clean up to about 12 o'clock, and then really start overdriving the filter to a much greater degree than our other synths. And the reason for that is that filter overdrive has a really unique sonic characteristic, and that characteristic changes the more you drive the filter. So it enables you to decide how much you're overdriving the filter per voice,
per element.
Yeah, exactly. Then on the output of the filter, there's two things that are different. With the multi-drive, it gives you one of the differences between, say, the Voyager and the Little Phatty is on the output. You are able to control how much you're driving an OTA, and OTA is a voltage control element in our circuits, and that OTA has a really unique and distortion or overdrive that I really like.
Yeah.
So you have that element, and then also there's a classic FET type of overdrive in addition to that you could also control, and you could sweep through different ranges. So you could have so the combination of different zones of filter compression and overdrive, then combined with OTA overdrive, and then with the FET drive on the end. With the FET, we kind of tune it so in the beginning you're really just taking advantage of the filter, then the OTA, and then FET overdrive to get kind of a tube-like soft asymmetrical, all the way to super hard clipping.
Yeah.
And that inspiration behind that was to give this instrument kind of a different ability than our other synths.
Yeah.
Not better or worse, just kind of a different set of vocabulary. And I kind of felt like the personality of this little instrument was this little kind of little beast, you know what I mean? That is just small but really mighty.
Yeah.
And so I felt that I wanted it to be kind of aggressive and have a real attitude.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the kind of larger inspiration behind the multi-drive, is to be able to give you that kind of attitude on this synth. And when you combine it with, say, the ability to do wave modulation and the LFO, which also can go up into audio rates, so you can do excuse me, you could do some really great modulation effects combined with being able to have both the oscillators and the sub-oscillators and noise with variable amounts of filter, pre-filter and pushing the filter hard. And then you combine that with the multi-drive, you can really get in some really unique...
It kind of looks simple, but obviously that interplay is hugely complicated.
Yeah, and there's you could really fine-tune it the way you want. You know, maybe just the sub oscillator is pushing the filter really hard, and your oscillator, your primary oscillator, is clean, or vice versa. But then when you combine that with the multi-drive and you turn the resonance up, the resonance additionally starts getting overdriven, and so you get this incredible sonic vocabulary that is very wide. We've been having a great time with it, so it's very fun.
Yeah, for me, it's one thing, I was really struck, it's one thing to read the spec about it, and obviously you're taking everyone's word for it, oh, it sounds different, but it was so apparent, the second that you play it, how different it sounds to like the little, the slim, and the Voyager, it's genuinely not the same.
Yeah.
Although obviously at lower, moderate drive settings, it can get clean and sweet sound.
Exactly, yeah. I think that's one thing to emphasize. One of the things I did 2 days ago when we were setting up and the hall was still real quiet, we had the Voyager and the Sub Phatty side by side. And I really wanted, when designing this, I really wanted to make sure that it really did have that same voice when you didn't drive. And we had the Voyager and the Sub Phatty side by side, and it was incredible how close, almost indistinguishable at certain settings. Obviously the Voyager is its own thing, that 3 oscillators and tons of other stuff. But when you restricted the Voyager to what the Sub Phatty can do and put them in the same kind of settings, it was really gratifying to hear how similar. So, I do want to stress that this instrument can get every bit as creamy and smooth and clean and expressive as our little Phatty or the Voyager. But in addition, it has its own take on things, and I really feel like it fits really well into kind of a lot of the music that's being produced today, and also making it small and portable. So if you're using it, it's really going to fit well into kind of your digital audio workstation and Pro Tools and Logic. We'll have a VST, RTAS, AU, and standalone plugin for it. So you can control it MIDI. All the knobs are fully MIDI controlled, both in and out. So it's also a nice little controller for your desktop. It's got USB and DIN, and so that's really exciting. So I could see it sitting in someone's desk in a small little studio. I could also see someone having to fly to a gig and having a back line, large synth there, and just taking this, pulling this, and carrying it on the plane and going to a gig, and having a really fun little synth to play with when they get there.
Cool. Thanks very much, Cyril, and obviously congrats. Well done on the design.
Thank you. Well, we're really excited about it. Thank you so much.
Wicked. Thank you.